Hello, my name is Dennis from ThriveMate, and I'll be talking about Thrive Leads today. I'll give a beginner's overview, so hopefully it can help if you're really starting with Thrive themes and Thrive Leads, especially today. If there's any issues with the sound right now, just let me know. I'm using a different software this week, so hopefully that's going to be good. But let me know if you have any questions as well during the talk, and I will do my best to answer them at the end of the talk. Maybe during as well if I have the chance. So let me start with Thrive Leads. Thrive Lead is a plugin. It's a separate plugin. Thrive Themes has 10 different plugins in their suites of plugins on top of their themes. So it's really a plugin. The main benefit of Thrive Leads is to be able to easily create opt-ins, so lead generation opt-ins. And the additional benefits, so you can actually do that with Thrive Architect. You can do some basic part of it. But really the benefit is statistics, so you get all sort of conversion rates and reports available. And on top of it, you've got A/B testing available in Thrive Leads. So if you're a member, if you have the full membership of Thrive Themes and you pay whether quarterly or yearly, you do have Thrive Leads included. And I think it would be a great benefits for you to use it just for those two reasons. It does help as well when you want to create opt-ins and reuse them in multiple places on your site. It's definitely of a great benefit for that. So it can be quite overwhelming when we're starting with Thrive Leads. I'll show you the dashboard right now. So if you have it installed, you'll go to the Thrive dashboard, you'll see Thrive Leads here, and then you'll see this page. So there is this concept of lead groups, and I'll cover that today. There's the concept of lead shortcodes, and then this concept of lead or ThriveBoxes. So Thrive Leads, ThriveBoxes. So people get confused at the beginning. It's normal. There's a lot of options there. So what I have to say as well is that if you have Thrive Leads, you don't need to use this Thrive Lightboxes there. This is the Thrive Lightboxes is the lightbox or the opt-ins that is part of Thrive Architect, and they're very basic. There's no statistics, there's no reporting, there's no A/B testing, so it's a bit limited. So if you have Thrive Leads, you can ignore this. You can still use them, but if you want the full power of conversion rate stats and reports and A/B testing, skip that and create all of your opt-in and Thrive Leads. It will be all in one place. You'll be able to compare your different offers side by side and see the conversion rate of each of them and make changes globally instead of going there. So that's one thing I see people they start. If you use a landing page, it will create those Thrive Lightboxes. You could use that, but if you want all this power, just ignore it and recreate it in Thrive Leads and relink them. So what I'll do today is I'll show you 3 kinds of opt-ins, and they will represent the ThriveBoxes, the lead shortcodes, and 1 lead groups. Within all of them, there are multiple options that I could go in more details, but it would take too much time. So I'm going to limit myself to really the basic stuff. But if you're interested, if you have questions that is outside of the scope of this seminar, webinar, then let me know, and then there's going to be other people doing those live sessions in the future, and then maybe they can answer you as well. You can reach out to me personally as well. I do have courses coming up that will go in more details on creating those opt-ins. So what I'll start, instead of starting with the lead group, I'll start with the ThriveBoxes. I think it's the easiest to understand, and then I'm going to move back up and show you how it works. So this is a demo website, and what I'll show you, it's a standard homepage here, so with different sections, and then here we have a free training, and when we click on the button, there is what we call the light box. So it's called sometimes a pop-up box or a light box. It's the same thing, and there is a title, maybe some images, and then a place to enter name, email. It could be less fields or more fields, and then There's a sign up button, so usually there's a button, and then that can show a message on a confirmation message on the page, or it could redirect you to a thank you page. So that's, I think most people are starting with this, and I will start and I'll show you how to do this right now. Before I do that, I'll show you so this is one way. It's basically because it gets important if you understand the power of Thrive Leads. So basically we click on something and then it triggers a pop-up. I'll show you what a shortcode is. So a shortcode is something that shows on the page during page load. So this one I didn't have to click anything, and then there is an opt-in here for capturing email. There's a title, there's an image, and I didn't have to click on anything, it just showed up. So that is one of the difference between the two. So that's a Thrive Leads shortcode. And since we're there, I'll show you what a lead group is for, since we're doing an overview now. So a lead group is usually, it's very powerful for blog posts. So if I have, let's say I go inside this blog post. So what I've done is created some opt-ins related to that blog post or related to the category of that blog post, and some of them like this show directly on the page. And if I scroll down, you see there's a ribbon that popped up in the middle of the page. So that was predefined in advance. I didn't manually attach this to the blog post or did anything to the blog post. I did it once, and then every time there's a new blog post in that category, it shows up. And then there is another one here, and then we could add as many or as little as we want. So this is pre-programmed, predefined, and it's a bit more advanced. This is the concept of lead groups, and the idea is that we can create a set. So if you have a training course, you can have a ribbon and all those things related to your training that shows up on the page, or you could have 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and they're all rated the same offer or the same category. The main, and I'll come back to the power of the Thrive lead groups, but this is where ribbons and pop-ups that are pre-programmed are set up. If I come back to, and this is an exit intent that just showed up. So if I come back here, I'll start with this one here. So we have a plain button, and then there's a pop-up like this. Then I'll show you where it was defined in Thrive Leads. So it was defined as a Thrive box, and this one is this one here. So I've got 3. They're linked in different places on the page, and if I want to see it, it's already existing. So I'll show you how to access it. This is there, and then you just click the edit button right there. And then that gets people confused as well. So you'll see this row here, and at the beginning you'll have to add a row, and then that's for A/B testing. So I called it version A here, and you could have multiple versions of your opt-in and A/B test it. So you can run tests one against the other one and see what performs better. So in this case I have one version, and you can start with one version, absolutely no issue. I click the edit button here on the right, and then we see the form that we just looked at. So that's the way to do it, and I'll do the exercise of creating it and linking it as well. Sometimes it's easier to understand, so I'll go back to Thrive Leads. So if you're within a page like this, you can always click the Thrive Leads here, or you can click Thrive Leads here. It's going to come back to the dashboard. Now we want to create, let's say, a new course. So we're going to create a Thrive box here. Click Add New. We name it. Personally, what I do is name them with a code. It makes it easier to find out to find it later and to associate it and make documentation on it. So I've created 3 of them, and then I'll create a 4th one. So it's TB04, and I'll call it June course, for example, in this case. Add Thrive box, it shows up here, and then what we do is edit on the right. Now it says your form will appear here, so you have to basically create form, and then what I would do is TB04 and then version A. So first version that I create, in the future I can do B, C, D, E, F, so on and so forth. And so now we have one form available here, version A, and I'm gonna just click the edit design. So now you'll have the choice of using a pre-made template, and then you can have a look at them. Personally, I always use the blank template. I'm very used to Thrive Architect, so for me it's easier. But you feel free to try some of them. I think the challenge that you may have is that if you pick one of them, sometimes it's a bit harder to modify them, or if you modify them and it doesn't look as good after that, if you add text, remove text. So it's always a question of, yeah, if you start, you can go and have a look at that, pick one, and try to modify them to suit your needs. Otherwise, I'll show you with a blank template here just to keep things simple. So now we have this blank canvas, and then I'll just put a heading here. So I'll make it very simple for this demo. So you can put as much text as you want, you can put some images as well, and then the main thing that you want to put is a lead generation element, and you can search for it, and then we're going to insert this, and then we connect it to our autoresponder service. I'm not going to go through the process of connecting it, but I'll show you now. It's ActiveCampaign, which is on this site. But if you want to connect ActiveCampaign or something else, it's through the API. So there are instructions for that. But for me, it's already pre-configured. I'm going to go there. I could tag it as per what I want. Click Continue. I can choose email name. I could remove just, let's say I want just the email. So I'm not going to go in all the details, but you can read on that. And there are tutorials as well. And then at the end, you can decide to show a success notification, and there's a little preview here, so it shows a success like this. You can change the title, or maybe the best way is to redirect to a thank you page, so you can click there and then search for some pages that you've created. If you search and if you have a thank you page, it will find it, you pick it. So for now, I'll just use a success message. Be as detailed as possible. If people need to go in their email inbox to confirm it, be as detailed, so people will know what to do, what's the next step. And then we have a email capture. We can go and edit the form element, and I'm not gonna go in details, but we can change the color. We could change the title here. And maybe in this case, I just want to, so save and close. So the interface, you have to get used to it. If I want to change this, I could do like this, and then I could go and center things like this. So design, again, I'm not covering really the design, but you can do as much or as little as you want. So in a nutshell, that's the way to do it. You know, spacing could be nice. And I'll just do it very quickly here. So there's different ways, and I'm not going to go into details, but you can do something like this, save it, and then it's ready to be linked. So now if I close this, come back to my Thrive Leads dashboard, I see that I've got this TB04 created, it's configured. Now I have to link it. So I'll go to my pages, and I'm going to go on my home page. So edit my homepage with Thrive Architect. And I'm gonna, let's say this is, I want to replace the text here, and I'm gonna replace the button and link that to the new course. So I can say, so you can, change the text, do whatever you want. It could be anywhere on the page as well. All you have to do is click on the button. Make sure you click on the outside part of the button, not on the text. If you click the text, is really to, actually, I'll do the join now, maybe free like this. So click on the outside part of the button, and then you come to, so this animation in action. There's already a link. I'm going to delete this. And what I'm going to do is click on this element, and then we're going to pick Open Thrive Leads ThriveBoxes. It was created in Thrive Leads. The first one here, the Thrive Lightbox, is the first one I've shown you at the beginning of the tutorial. So what is built in Thrive Architect. Really, if you want the power of stats and A/B testing, use this one, and then we can pick the one we created, TB04, and then just click. Make sure you're going to click apply, scroll a bit, click apply, and then click save. And now that's it, it's linked. And if we, so I've got another browser, and I'm going to refresh. And if I click on it, I've got the new one I've created. So it was as simple as that. When you get used to it, if you're starting, for sure you might, it will require maybe more time. But once you get very, proficient at it, in 5-10 minutes, you can do something very plain and simple. Of course, sometimes you want to spend more time. Make sure you test it on mobile, on tablet. Make sure it looks nice. Maybe add some images, a video. So you can definitely spend more time. Yeah, 5 minutes is true, but sometimes, if you want to spend a bit more time, I think it's worth it. It's really a way to capture email and interact with your visitors. So, so in a nutshell, that's the Thrive Leads, ThriveBoxes. So if I come back here, so they're in the ThriveBox. So it's something that we click on it, and again, I could spend hours talking about it. If I come back here, I click on something and then it pops up. I'll show you the other ways of linking. So what I could do is in my text here, say new course now, and decide to link this, and I can do a link, and then I can search here TB04, and then I see the one I've just created. Click insert, and then that's it. Just save it. And always test. Whatever you do, always test. So I'll go back to my other browser, refresh, and then now the link is the wrong color. We'll have to make adjustments, but now if we click on it, this is linked up. So we can link a ThriveBox to text, to buttons, to a content box, to a background sections, or at least a column element. So there are many ways where if you click on something like an image, for example, you could go look at the animation in action, click this, and then you'll see that if you see the Thrive Leads, ThriveBox, then you can, and it's already linked in this case, we could delete it and pick another one, and then just click apply. So there's many places where we can, icons is the same thing, we could go and link that. So sometimes people will click on those images instead of the button. So sometimes it's good to actually go and link every element to your ThriveBox. So in a nutshell, that's a ThriveBox. Now the other case here is a shortcode. So why would you like a shortcode like this? So the idea here is that it's just a button. And every time I need to create a new button like this or a new image and do that and then link it manually. There are times that we want to create a full banner and reuse this full banner in many places on many pages. So in this case, we want to do a shortcode for this. So it's already loaded on the page. When we arrive on that page, we just specified, and if we click on it actually, we see that the green element there is a Thrive Leads shortcode. And then if I scroll here, we see this SH01, so free video course. So that is another reason for you when you're starting, if you have the habit of naming, putting a code for your opt-ins, the reason is that in the future, you might have, you're going to build free courses, let's say every month. And if you start free video course, and then the second one you see free course about something, and then free course June and free course something else, and then it's going to get very confusing. Now I can pick something and know which one to pick and have a list somewhere, and I know which code. So otherwise you have ebook sample and ebook something else, and the names becomes very long. So naming convention is always a good thing. So a little sideline here. So if I want to create something like this, again, I'll do it very quickly. So lead shortcode, create a new one, SH05. So let's say June course, and click edit on the right. Again, I could create multiple forms. I'll create just one here. So call it A. Be as detailed as possible. It's more for the future than the right now. And then again, we have a canvas. We can pick a template. And then in this case, I'll choose. I always use the blank one and do it by myself. it allows you to use your brand colors much more easily. It's a bit more flexible. What I do for shortcode, very often you'll see a gray background. You could go and put it transparent. So if you go to the background style, put the slider down and it's going to be transparent, so you can overlay it on something else of a different color. That's always one way. Otherwise, what you can do is leave it the color or force it to be of a specific color like this. And then we have a pre-made template like this, and then we can just go and add a heading. So again, it's not a design tutorial, but I'll just here do it like this. So again, images, sometimes it's very good. So I'll just show you what we could do. We could put an image there. So if I pick something like this, and now the contrast is probably not the right picture for the color, but you could pick a different image. We could remove this and then do something like this, and then we could virtually, if you're familiar with the columns, we could center that vertically and then maybe choose a different color here just to make sure that your brand colors, it's always good to keep your brand colors good. So again, maybe the white, maybe a darker color on the button would be a good thing, but for this demo, if sometimes contrast is well, a little trick, you could go and put something like, so again, I'm just trying it like this. So sometimes a little color, maybe go with a little gutter width like this, and you see that there's gaps, so we would need to do some adjustments. So that's part of design. So I'm not going to go in more details, but you can do something like this. And if we want to, so we can save it. And now if we want to put that on our homepage, we come back, I'll close this. I'll close this. So this is our homepage. Now it was just freshly created. If I go, just to show you, it's another common thing that I see people. Let's say I want to add the new box right under that section. There is something here called the ThriveLead shortcodes. You can drag it right here. That's how I want to put it here. And you will see that it doesn't show, and the SH5 doesn't show. And even if I search for it, it doesn't show. So the reason is it was just created. What we have to do is just refresh this page. So just hit reload on the page. And then go back here, and this is how to insert a ThriveLead shortcode. It's not something on a button, it's really something on a page, so it's an element. It's just at the bottom of this toolbar. Just go and drop it here, and then it does appear. If you have multiple of them, you will have to search for it. So that's why starting with SH, it will allow you to easily find it. So I find it very useful for that. And then boom, what we've created is just showed up. I just save it. And then come back here. And then it shows up right then and there. The advantage of doing it like this, so if you see here, this is something I've typed right onto my home page. If in the future I want to change it, or if I want to reuse that on another page, I have to recreate it from scratch. The idea of the shortcode is I create it once, and then this is on my home page. I can go and insert it manually. So that's good. If in, let's say, next month, I can change June for July, change my tag for this, maybe change the image, and then automatically it's going to be refreshed everywhere. So this is the advantage of using shortcode. It's reusable, it's easy to change globally. It's one way of doing it that might save you time on the long run. And on top of it, if I come back here, I'm going to get statistics on the impressions and the conversions. So that is another benefit of it. And then you can see which one performed better. So, and then A/B testing it as well. So there are cases, so this is manually inserted, which is always one way of doing it. If you want to go in more details and really use the power of Thrive Leads, then you can use the lead groups. So a lead group, and I'll open two here. So those are elements that are pre-programmed. So especially if you do a lot of content marketing, I would say, so lead groups, I would use lead groups for ribbons, for global pop-ups, so whether on entry of your website, which probably not that great for user experience, but maybe on exit intent, then you'll need to use lead groups for that. And then if you want to create, and I'll show you here, it's always easier to show you on a page. So if I go on my blog, and let's say I have 200 blog posts, and then I can predefine this widget here on the side. If I go within one of the blog posts, so this is predefined, pre-written, and then I can have one in the middle of the content like this. I can have this ribbon preset, and I can have one at the footer, and then there's the exit intent as well, like that. So the idea is that if you already have 200 blog posts and you don't have all those opt-ins, you can define all of this in one place in a lead group, and then they're going to start showing automatically, and you don't have to go one by one and edit all of your blog posts one by one and inserting all those things manually and creating them. So that's really the power of the lead groups, is that you do it once, and then you target whether all of your blog posts, or you can target a category of a blog post. So if you have a category about, you know, eating in restaurant, maybe the opt-ins will be eating in restaurants, and everything will be really, you know, related about restaurants. So depending on your niche and what you do, you can really target. And I'll show you a brief overview, and it can be confusing. You'll have to play with it and make sure you get it right. But what I do personally for all of my websites and all my clients' websites, first I create a default lead group. So and by default, you'll see that I'll add a new one so you'll understand. So when you create it, it asks you for a name, and this is the name I've created. And then you're going to be able to target, do the targeting. So it's the little display here. You click there, and then you can choose the targeting. So whatever, and if I close, whatever opt-in, so there is one light box here. There's a ribbon which is off, so you can put things off. If your campaign is over, you can in one click put it off for desktop, put it off for mobile. You could just say only for desktop or only for mobile, so you have the option of choosing where it displays, but you can, you know, globally put it off after a campaign, you know, manually if you want. And then you could enable everything as well. In this case, I could do like this. And where those will appear is defined in this little gear icon. So it's going to show on the front page, on all pages, on the 404, and on the search page. What you can do, so what I suggest is do one for pages, front page, and search and 404. And then whenever you create Lightbox ribbon, it will show there. This is for your regular pages. If you do content marketing, if you have a blog, create a new blog, a lead group, and then you create all of your opt-ins there, and then you target only the posts and the blog index, and that will only appear on those. So usually that's a good practice. Again, it's really a case-by-case basis that you decide how you define that. So depending on your offers, your business, you might decide to have one, or you can define different lead groups. And then where the power is that you can say, so for example, let's say I've got a new course. I can say this is my course page. So again, let's say I call it LG03 course page. And you'll see it created this new group. So if I close it, so I've got this new group. Now I'm going to create some new opt-ins, and then what I say is I go here, I go to page, and then I'm not sure if I have one, I don't think I have one, but basically I create a new course page, and maybe I can target my services page here and save and close. And those opt-ins will be related to my course and only showing on my course page. So that's the idea of this. If I want to, let's say I want to create one. So I've decided to, in this case, it's my services page. And let's say my services, I want a ribbon there at the top, which is different. Right now, it's a global one, join our webinar, but let's say I want something that relates to contact me, call me now. So I want a different ribbon. So why this one is showing, that's another question. People get confused. So there is an order, there's a priority order, and it's basically, it checks if there's a match here. So if it's all posts and blog index, if there's a match between, in this selection here, it's going to show. If it doesn't match, it's going to try the next one, and then it's going to start showing there. And if it doesn't match there, then it's going to show there. So there is this priority thing. Now, if I want something for a course page, what I would do is go there. So this is going to be my, actually, let me rename this. So that's my service page. So it's very, and this is where it becomes very interesting, because if you have a business, you offer one-on-one services, or you're a consultant or a coach or a trainer, and you have a services page, maybe you don't want to offer the free webinar. You really want to show, hey, call me, like, I'm available for service. Here's my number. Give me a call. And you can have multiple. You can have a ribbon. You could have maybe a slide in. You could have a pop-up when you exit from there to call me. So this is where the power is, and I'll create, two maybe. So I'll do let's do a ribbon here, and I'll keep it simple. So I'm gonna do add new. So LG03 ribbon, and then just click the blue pencil there. And I'm going to use a blank one, just to keep my branding standard. Let's say I want to go with, so, when it's time to pick colors, and this is not a design tutorial, but I would look at, what's at the top here, what would be good contrast. So sometimes we want to go outside of our brand colors. I could pick an orange, for example, just so it really flashes. Again, it's trial and error. But let's say I pick this, and I'll keep it very simple here. And maybe pick contrasting color. Maybe I'm going to put it bold. And so I've got a ribbon like this. So again, copywriting, content, it's not the focus here, but now I saved it, and it doesn't have to be an opt-in. It can be just text like this. It could be a phone number which is clickable, so I could make that clickable as well. And then now if I go to my page, and I've seen this question coming up very often, and I reload this, you see that it doesn't show. So as soon as you've created your ribbon, you can close this, come back to your Thrive leads, find it. So I could have avoided this step, but basically this is my service page, this is my ribbon, and you have to go and enable it on desktop and enable it on mobile. So you have to go to this step. By default it won't show. Now I did that, there's nothing to save, I just reload, and now this just shows up like this. So it allows me to have a set of opt-ins, and then if I want, I could go and create for example, an exit intent. I think exit intent can be very interesting, and for me it did work. So if you offer a service, for example, so LG03 exit intent lightbox, and I'm gonna edit it. So maybe this one, I want to keep it white, keep it simple, and just say something. Again, it's a question of copywriting, but so if you're in the service business and you do any type of one-on-one consultancy, coaching, anything that you do services, you could do something like this. So you could have a call me and put your 1-800 number if you have. Again, I pay I think $2 a month for an 800 number. It's so cheap. There are services nowadays that why not for $2 a month? And if you're interested, just let me know. And then you could have a lead generation element as well. So you could have a phone number and something like this, and then say just contact me, and then have your form or have your autoresponder or something like this. So I'll do. So again, I'm not showing you all the best practices here. And in terms of design, I would definitely spend more time, but just to keep this short, I'm going to do it like this, and maybe just to keep my brand colors consistent. And those are all sort of techniques as well. So here, maybe it's just send or contact me or whatever you want. Again, that's up to you. Those are all sort of techniques that maybe do not put a message. Or it could be just call me back or email me more details. It could be send me, I want to see your portfolio. It could be you can be creative and do A/B testing and see what triggers people to reach out. So it could be put your question here, it sends it to you. There's all sort of techniques to. It could be a survey, it could be this quiz. So there's all sort of ways. So now I'll save this. And just to show you, so this is my Lightbox. So let's say I come back to my dashboard just to show you. It can be confusing, this going back and forth, but this is my Lightbox. Now there is something called the trigger. So you could have it on page load. In this case, I'm going to do it on exit intent. So this one is the exit intent. So when someone moved their mouse at the top and click save. And then, so there's animation. So usually I keep it by default, zoom in, but you have different style as well. If I'll leave it by default, but you can play with this if you want. And then what's important again is this is my service page. Just put it on, and maybe you don't want it on mobile. It's up to you. And then it's on, and then I go back here, refresh the page. This shows up, and if I exit the page, this shows up as well. So it's a last-ditch attempt to engage people, and it can be very effective. If I've seen cases where if your average client, if you're a consultant and you make on average $2,000 per client per year, and you get one more client per year because of this, it's $2,000 more. Even if you would, let's say you would hire someone to help you to create this, the payback time, it might take them an hour or two if they know what they're doing, do something nice, and then the payback time, the period is very quick, and the return on investment is very high just by doing this. And ideally, what you want is that your service page, maybe have a custom message there, and if it's your About Us, you could have something really the exit intent related to the About Us page. Same thing, maybe your homepage is more general, and if it's a specific training course, maybe it's specific to that. Really go contextualize all your opt-in boxes, and then that will increase your conversion rate. Usually, again, there's no general rules, but usually the more contextualized it is, the better it is. So hope this was useful for some of you that are starting. It can be daunting when you start to go and see all of those things, but there is little play buttons, by the way. So if you're not familiar with one of the elements,
the Lightbox,
there is videos for each of the types of opt-in. If I believe you click this, there's this little play. So it's a good reminder of how it is. You might do it once, and then in 6 months you go back, you forgot. There's videos built in. Most of the sections in Thrive Leads. So that's a good way of getting reminders on this. If you add new shortcodes, there's a video right there as well. So hope this helped. Let me see if there are questions that I might be able to answer. I have to find where it is now. And I think this week on the group there were some questions. So bear with me, I'm just looking at the feed here. So I don't see any questions that came up. But you feel free, if you've watched this afterwards, feel free to ask questions, in the comment box, and then I'll be able to answer them afterwards. We record a video or just answer them in a text format. So I think that's it. I'll keep it like this. I hope it helps in defining, in understanding the tool. There are a lot of tutorials. I know that a lot of tutorials are 3-4 years old and the interface is not good. If you want to know more, I'm building more medium, intermediate to advanced courses on Thrive Leads to really show you the power of Thrive Leads. I'm available as well for one-on-one consultations or design services as well. If you're interested in that, please reach out. And there are other people in the groups as well available that can help you. Very often in an hour or two, we can, for those of us who are familiar with Thrive Leads and Thrive Architect, we can help guide clients at least in the right direction and get them on their way to creating opt-in. So that's it. Wish you a very nice day today, and let me know if there's any questions.